Hello everyone, how are you? I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Welcome to my channel Days of Our Lives 24 and new video your favorite TV drama Days of Our Lives. Subscribe to my channel for more new episodes of Days of Our Lives and new news. Nicole is living every parent's worst nightmare. Holly left for a New Year's Eve party with Tate, wearing Nicole's dress and a huge smile on her face, only for Nicole to receive a call on Days of Our Lives during the week of 1-04-24 that her daughter had overdosed and was hovering between life and death. It's a powerful, relatable story. But is Days of Our Lives missing the opportunity to bring someone back that would make the drama even stronger? We think so. Days of Our Lives has already failed to tie the overdose drama to Theresa's past other than acknowledging that she was an addict. But Theresa once overdosed, leaving a teenage Gigi to call on his worst enemy to help save her life. Imagine the potential if JJ Deverox came back to Salem now. JJ, Theresa, and Brady have a complicated history. Theresa blackmailed JJ into continuing to get her drugs after the overdose, and Brady was busy relapsing himself at the time and used a chance run-in with JJ at a meetup spot to cause trouble and deflect suspicion off himself. All of that history is relevant now. Gigi's presence could lend an extra layer to the drama, no matter what side he took, because it would bring back painful memories for everyone. And since Gigi had become an EMT before he left Salem, if he had returned shortly before this incident, he could have been called to the scene to administer aid to Holly. That would have put him in a position to defend Tate, which would have upped the drama for everyone. Brady might appreciate the help while also worrying that Gigi was trying to make moves on Theresa, and EG might try to discredit JJ so he can continue his vendetta against Tate. Gigi also had a history with Nicole that was never fully acknowledged. She helped cover for him when Theresa overdosed, and Daniel insisted on claiming to be the one who was with her at the time. It would be fantastic to use that old history now. Gigi could try to intervene with EJ for Tate's sake, reminding Nicole of that past and trying to convince her that this was a similar situation or asking her to get EJ to back off. He could also stumble upon the truth about Nicole's baby, which would give him a chance to repay her for that good deed she did for him. This twist could also require Gigi to confront Leo or get info out of him, which could lead to some comic relief while moving the story along. Gigi was always far better suited to being an investigative reporter than Abigail was. He had great instincts, persistence, and no fear of breaking the rules or acting impulsively to get what he wanted. Nowadays, we have Everett in that role, but Gigi's unofficial investigation as an EMT-turned-detective would put him in the middle of Chad and Everett's conflict. Abigail was Gigi's sister, so Chad, in his grief, might expect loyalty from him, leading to dramatic confrontations if Gigi struck up a friendship with Everett. Chad is currently working with Everett to find the source of the drugs, but many fans have speculated that Chad secretly hopes that Everett will be hurt or killed so that he's out of Stephanie's life. Would Chad go that far? Hopefully not. But if he did have plans to eliminate his rival, JJ stumbling upon them would lead to compelling drama. The biggest reason for Days of Our Lives to bring JJ back is his history with Clyde Weston. Gigi worked undercover for the Salem PD after Roman recruited him to stop him from continuing down a destructive path with alcohol after losing Paige to Eve in 2015. That silly setup could only happen in Salem and led to JJ's career as a cop, which was a total mismatch for his character. But it also led JJ to single-handedly take Clyde and his drug empire down. And now, Clyde is behind the drug dealing that led to Holly's overdose. That puts GJ in a compelling position. He has the experience and the history to figure out Clyde's involvement. But EG wants to prosecute Tate for giving Holly the drugs, and Stefan and Ava are the ones doing Clyde's bidding. GG would have to stand up to the most powerful people in Salem, and all of these people could either try to make him disappear or recruit him to do their dirty work for them. Stefan is desperate for someone to take Clyde out for him, and he's as ruthless as they come. He'd do anything to force GG to be the one to neutralize Clyde. Plus, one of the people Clyde is threatening to keep people in line is Tripp, JJ's cousin who fought with him for Haley Chen's heart shortly before her death. JJ working to protect Trip would naturally lead him to work with his uncle Steve, with whom he never shared enough screen time when he was in Salem. And Steve and John working with JJ to unmask Clyde, protect Trip, and stop the drug sales would be a far better use of their time than this silly Constantine story. So this would be a win all around. What do you think, Days of Our Lives fanatics? Should Days of Our Lives find a reason to bring JJ back to Salem during this Overdose story? Hit the big blue HALUCOMMENTS button and let us know your thoughts. And for more Days of Our Lives chat, check out the latest Days of Our Lives spoilers. Days of Our Lives streams exclusively on Peacock. New episodes drop on weekday mornings at 6/5C. Jack Ory is a senior staff writer for TV Fanatic. His debut young adult novel, Reinventing Hannah, is available on Amazon. Follow him on X. Chad's grief demonstrates the biggest problem with Days of Our Lives' most overused plot device. Chad's been having a rough time lately. Ever since Stephanie brought up marriage, he's struggled again with the feeling that he's betraying Abigail by moving on. After losing Stephanie, Chad turned to Julie for comfort on Days of Our Lives during the week of 1/0/124. These scenes were amazing. Susan Seaforth Hayes is a Days legend for a reason, and Julie stepped effortlessly into Alice Horton's shoes to support Chad. But Chad made a comment that underscored how much the writers have diluted the idea of death and grief through a silly plot device that only happens in Salem. Chad told Julie that instead of time making things easier for him, they'd made them more challenging. But he didn't just say he missed Abigail. He said he found it difficult to believe she wasn't still alive. Of course he did. Chad is not only a Dimera, the people who often employ Dr. Rolfe to resurrect deceased loved ones, but has lived through 3 of his brothers coming back from the dead. E.J., Tony, and Stefan were all believed to be dead for years. Doctors donated Stefan's heart to Julie when hers failed, and Tony was cremated. Anna carried his urn around for ages. Yet nowadays, Tony is on an endless cruise with Anna, while Stefan and EJ are constantly at each other's throats. With that track record, how could Chad ever believe Abigail is gone forever, no matter what excuse Rolfe has for being unable to resurrect her? Rolfe claims that he has to be present at the moment of death to capture the person's essence before they cross over no longer hold water now that he's resurrected Stefan 4 years after the fact, and built him a new heart while he was at it. The Dimeras aren't the only ones who have recently turned out to be alive after months of loved ones grieving. Kate, who is also Chad's surrogate mother, was one of 3 women who not only died, but spent time in this weird heaven/hell environment before turning out to be in suspended animation in Megan's crypt. And let's not forget that Chad got together with Stephanie thanks to a breakup for the sake of drama after she learned Alex deleted a voicemail about Kayla taking a turn for the worse, only for Kayla to turn up alive with Kate and Marlena. From Chad's perspective, believing that Abigail is truly dead should be almost impossible, and his comments might very well be foreshadowing. While there's currently no casting news about a new Abigail, if the story dictates it, it could happen. But the scenes between Chad and Julie made it clear that Chad's grief is supposed to be real right now. The point of these scenes was to demonstrate the pain and heartbreak he's struggling with that stop him from moving on. And that's what the real problem with this overused plot device is. It's impossible to take any grief scene seriously when the writers could undo it all with a few strokes of their pens. While Chad's been struggling with his grief over Abigail, we've also sat through scene after scene of Nicole and E.G.'s grief over their allegedly dead baby, who is secretly living across town with Eric and Sloane. Those scenes were supposed to tug at our heartstrings just as much as Chad's fervent wish that Abigail would walk through the door. But how are we supposed to take any grief scenes seriously when so many of them are fake? It starts to feel like trauma porn when we have to suffer through characters' heartbreak over the death of people we know are alive. It's pain for the sake of pain, making viewers wish they could fast forward to the big reveal that the person is still with us and skip all the pain and suffering. We're desensitized to grief because we're so used to it being phony, so Chad's scenes fall flat even though, in this case, the grief is supposed to be real. In addition, the characters are written as if they all have amnesia about all the other fake deaths in Salem. Every time someone comes to the door who is supposed to be dead, Everyone is shocked, including the people who just came back from the dead themselves last month. It wouldn't take a significant tweak to the dialogue to fix that. It would add to the drama if Chad reflected on how he knows people sometimes come back from the dead and even begged Rolf to do it for Abigail. But no dice. The more significant issue is that the writers must stop relying on magical resurrections for cheap drama. This is not only a tired TV trope at this point, but also is ruining the more realistic storylines. Right now, there are 3 mostly realistic storylines on air, all of which should be relatable. Chad's grief over Abigail persisting 2 years later, Paulina's potential cancer diagnosis, and Holly's drug overdose. These stories involve characters facing their mortality or that of someone they love, which is the type of high-stakes drama that ought to be the cornerstone of any soap. But it's hard to take these realistic stories seriously when they are mixed in with supernatural silliness and can turn into unrealistic nonsense without warning. Remember when Doug's supposed dementia storyline turned into a devil possession story? In Chad's case, viewers are primed for Abigail to return to the canvas, and for all we know, the writers might do it in some ridiculous manner. That adds to the difficulty of taking his grief seriously now. And that's a shame because Billy Flynn is bringing his A game to this story. We're not saying to retire the resurrection drug and other back-from-the-dead plot devices permanently. They're part of the Salem landscape for better or worse, and have been for years. A good coming-back-from-the-dead story could bring strong drama if used judiciously instead of being the writer's first thought every time they write someone out. What do you think, Days of Our Lives fanatics? Are you able to buy Chad's grief, or does the epidemic of people coming back from the dead in Salem ruin it for you?